Manche, in fact, I'm very excited to be here this afternoon and to be part of this year's Emotional Intelligence Africa Summit. I believe when we all become emotionally intelligent, we'll have a better society to live in. So this program is very important. And there cannot be a better time than this to discuss or to have this conversation, especially as we have some few days for us as a nation to go into the polls or to exercise our franchise to choose our leaders. I'll be brief because a lot have been said by earlier speakers, so I'll be very brief. We are looking at protecting and maintaining our democracy in tranquility for posterity, right? That is for our future generation. I'll be focusing on the financial aspects. So I'll be looking at the democracy in terms of our finances or the financial perspective. That is what I'll be looking at. You know, the state of our emotions affects our responses and our reactions to issues, both bad and then good news. And as we are preparing to vote in the coming elections, I will just entreat the politicians to employ emotional intelligence in their communications and also the media in also their reportage. Because when issue is not properly communicated or the report is not properly made, it can cause a whole lot of violence and disturbances. And democracy and good governance became widespread in Africa during the late 80s and the 90s, following the end of the Cold War. Many African states made the transition from authoritarian regime to democratic regimes during this era. So Ghana in 1982, that is from January 7, 1983, we decided to adopt democracy as a way of choosing our leaders. So Ghana became a republic with the sovereignty of Ghanaian, the sovereignty residing in the Ghanaian people. I must say that democracy has been evolving since 1992. We've been seeing several changes and several reforms since 1992, and currently we have a biometric voters register. It wasn't there in 1992, it wasn't there in 1996, even 2000, but currently we have a biometric register, which is a transformation. The Fourth Republic administration, for instance, is credited for achievement, advancement in liberal economic reforms, setting up anti-corruption agencies, political freedom for citizens, creating more space for civil freedom, including freedom of the press, and enhancement of democratic institutions. However, democracy in the Fourth Republic has struggled or challenged in the bid to endanger good governance, which has hindered the improvement of the socio-economic life of the Ghanaian people. What is happening in our democracy? So I'm looking at the role of money in our democracy. Now, in our current democratic or political dispensation, money has become a key point in our democracy. In fact, money is playing a major role in our democratic dispensation now, or current democratic dispensation. And it's very worrying that democracy is becoming more of moneycracy. So politics is seen as an avenue to make quick money. That's why a lot of the youth are following politics, because it's seen as an avenue to really make money very quick, right? Yes, to make money very, very quick. And this is clearly seen as our political actors show off their affluence during campaigns. This time that's their campaign, you are seeing, a lot of, they are showing off a lot of wealth, a lot of money. But the question is, the source of the money is a concern, right? The source of the money is a concern. This has given rise to cash for vote and vote buying phenomenon, especially within the unemployed and the less privileged population. This is obviously not the way to go. Nana, a report by Westminster Foundation for Democracy and CGD Ghana about the cost of politics in Ghana indicates a 59% increase in the cost of running for a political office between 2012 and 2016. So there has been an increase, an increase of 59% of the cost of actually running for a political office. I'm talking about the parliamentarian, right? So there has been an increase from 2012 to 2016 of 59%. So on average, a candidate needs to raise that is Ghana cedis, over 389,000 Ghana cedis. That is, in dollar terms, $85,000 to secure a party primary nomination and also compete the parliamentary elections in their constituency. And you ask yourself, how much do they earn when they even win the election? When you have to spend this much to actually win the seat. So if the cost of politics rises to unavoidable levels, then danger is that politics become the domain of the elites and the wealth, and that's the motivation and incentive of MPs move from serving the public to recovering their investment, their own investment. So it becomes an investment because they are spending so much to actually win the seat. Then when you win, they win the seat, then you have to recoup it, right? And it keeps growing. As at 2020, they are yet to know how much they are going to spend. Yes, they are yet to know how much they are going to spend. And when you look at the key component, the thing that they spend their money on, in fact, campaign costs, the actual campaign costs, they are spending about 39% in terms of that of their budget on campaign costs. In terms of donations, 25%, and you wonder who they give the money to, 25%. Party workers, 22%. Media and advertising, 14%. So all these glamorous advertisements, the media, it constitutes about 14% of their budget. And look at what goes into donation, 25%. Nana, how does it affect us? As our youth are exposed to this phenomenon, they tend to align themselves to political actors for money and their source of livelihood, and become prey to the caprices of some of our political actors to perpetuate violence for the interest of their paid masters. And this is what is happening. Money affects our relationships and our choices and our emotions. Psychologists who study the impact of wealth and inequality on human behavior have found out that money can powerfully influence our thoughts and actions in a way that we are often not aware of. That is why the poor, unemployed, and the less privileged could easily become prey to the manipulations of some politicians to pursue their own selfish and parochial interests. So money has a role to play. It affects our emotions. When you have money, your thinking is different. When you are poor, your thinking is different.
It's true.
That's why I can say that poverty is indeed a threat to our democracy. So the better we solve it, the best it will be for us as a society or as a nation. When people are poor, it affects their emotions and they are more likely not to be rational in their thinking. Poverty and conflict are widely understood to be closely interconnected. So when you study, it is said that money is very close to our emotions. So women can really understand when there's a payday. That day, the atmosphere at home is very, very different. Yes. So that. Oh, that they will not fight. Yeah, they will not fight. So money is very powerful. So when people are poor, they tend to do anything for money and survival. When people are poor, they become slaves to money influence and manipulations. That is the situation. Nana, to protect and maintain our growing democracy, we must focus on economic empowerment of the youth. When people get engaged economically and become financially stable, they will not offer or afford themselves to be used to perpetuate violence. When people become more responsible, they will have good and meaningful use of their time and will not have excess time to engage in criminal activities such as violence. Now, our people, our youth, must understand that money is not gotten on silver platter. So if you are thinking so, then it won't happen. And I think since God rained manna, in the olden days, I've never heard manna, or I've never heard that God has rained manna again. So money doesn't fall from heaven. Money is not gotten on silver platter. Money is generated through economic activity. We all need to put our hands to work. Our youth must focus on what they can do to improve their lives and generate income. That should be our focus. What we can do to generate income. What we can do to better your life. We need to shift our focus from what the politicians can do for us to what we can do for ourselves. If you are waiting for a politician to change your life, then they will manipulate you before and also disappoint you. So the focus should be what you can do yourself to better your life. Integrity and hard work is the way to go to achieving financial stability. I always say that when you fail to work hard when you are young and energetic, you will have to work hard when you are old and have less strength. So the better you start working hard, the better it will be for us. The youth must focus on building and upgrading themselves through education and training. There's a lot of resources available. The focus is not just to follow politicians, to follow political parties, but as Joyce said, you need to really focus on building yourself. You need to ask yourself, if you are going to vote, what is your interest? How is your voting going to benefit you? What is your interest? So our focus should be building ourselves and upgrading ourselves through education and training. By that, we can grow our value and worth. See, employers today won't just pay. They will pay according to your values or according to your worth. So the more you upgrade yourself, the higher amount you can attract and be hired. So if you are, as you are here, please, you need to upgrade yourself, right? Get educated, get some trainings to better your life. Again, we must focus on acquiring a skill and develop that skill to a sellable product. I always say that in the current economy that you are in, there are two key things you need. You either you become a professional, or you must have a skill. To really thrive in this economy, you must have a skill, or you must be a professional. And whatever you do, you must do it well. Do it excellently. So when you're looking for the best person in your field to really hire, or the best person in your field to be given a job, it should be you. So whatever you do, you must do it very well. So the skill you acquire and develop can be traded to earn you an income. The skill that you acquire, that is your currency. That's what you are going to trade with and to earn some income. So if you have no skill, then you have no currency to really trade with or to attract money. You must have the courage to start something that will earn you income. I want to encourage everyone not to be afraid to start small. Most businesses, big business we see today, started small, and with perseverance and consistency, they grew big. The big corporations we see, they all started small. But most of us, we don't want to start small. We want to start big. We are waiting to get everything perfect. We want to get every condition perfect before we start. There will not be a perfect condition in what we just have to start. So make good use of your time, because it's the greatest money-making machine anyone could have. So instead of allowing yourself and your time to be used to cause disturbances and violence, convert that time to an economic activity that will generate a lasting income for you. God has given each one 24 hours, but how you use your time depends on you. Nana, we all need to do everything possible to maintain the peace that we have, because that is the best legacy we can leave to our future generation. I wish our mother Ghana a peaceful election coming December 27th. Thank you.